Yo, what's going on to those watching, wherever you're watching this from? If you're new to my page, please just go ahead and like and subscribe. And you know what? Look, if you are interested but you're not that committed, after watching this video, just go ahead and check out my trailer video and you can see what I'm all about. Maybe I'll change your mind then. So why are you here? You're probably considering moving to Washington, D.C. or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, two cities I have experience living in. So in this video, I'll break it down into different categories such as affordability, crime, school, things to do, and so much more. Then I'll tell you which city in my personal experience takes the cake. Translation is better. So I think we should get started right after this. Let's go. Number 1, affordability. So I'll break affordability up into different sections. You got your buying, you got your renters, and then you got your employment opportunities. Only because all of these correlate into the cost of living. Now, fact, the average price to buy a home in Washington, D.C. is about $650,000. And the average price to buy a home in Philadelphia is about $250,000. That is a large gap, and I believe so because of the various things I'll touch up on throughout this video. For all the renters out there, the average cost to rent a 1-bedroom in Washington, D.C. is about $2,300. A 2-bedroom is gonna cost around $3,200. In Philly, the average price to rent a 1-bedroom is around $1,500, and the average price to rent a 2-bedroom is gonna be around $1,800. So now it really makes sense. It makes sense why a lot of people in Washington, D.C. have roommates, because it is pricey to live here. Employment opportunities tell an interesting story. So I always tell anybody who's planning to move to a new city, you need to research the job market in that city, because you don't want to move to a city that just don't have jobs or good paying jobs. It don't make sense. And DC has a booming job market. So according to the Census Bureau, the median salary in Washington, D.C. is around $93,000. while Philadelphia has a median salary of around $53,000. About 17% of people are living in poverty in DC, and about 22% of people are living in poverty in Philly. So it seems like people are working, it's just Philly isn't paying enough. But look, when you look at all of these categories, although Philadelphians are making a little bit less, I have to say in terms of affordability, it is much more affordable to live in Philly. It takes the cake. Number 2, crime. So when you look at the crime stats, I feel like it's a little skewed, only because you are comparing Philadelphia, which has around 1.5 to 2 million people, to Washington, D.C., which has around 800,000 people. So a lot of stats are saying Washington, D.C. is actually more dangerous. But I bet if you go randomly poll 100 people, they're going to say the D.C. area is a lot more safer than Philly. Why is that? I have a theory. I think because when you think of Washington, D.C., you're not really thinking of D.C., you're thinking of the DMV. Most people don't realize that they might not even live in D.C. once they move here, or they might not work in D.C. So they're going to be commuting to Northern Virginia or Maryland. And once you get out of certain parts of Washington, D.C., it is really, really safe. Stats in some type of crime categories may say Philadelphia is safer. I beg to differ. I'm gonna say Washington, D.C. or the DMV area takes the cake in terms of crime being under control. Yeah. Number 3, traffic. Now this might be a bold statement, but I believe the DMV has the worst drivers in the entire country. Now look, I have never been so annoyed while driving on the roads here. I'm actually considering selling my car. People are so aggressive on the roads, they don't let you over. They will run you off the roads if they could. And it's typically coming from those Maryland drivers. On top of that, the traffic flow is very confusing in the DMV. You could easily miss your exit ramp, or these really large, confusing traffic circles. It is really tough to be a driver here. The traffic is really tough. However, when you look at statistics, it actually says that Philadelphia is ranked number 4 in terms of bad traffic, while Washington, D.C. is ranked at number 8. Now look, I don't have much experience driving in Philly, but I'm sure most people will agree that D.C. has worse traffic and it is harder to drive in. They will also agree that DC has better public transportation, which is leading right to number 4. Transportation. Washington, D.C. is ranked number 4 in terms of public transportation. Look, the metro is extremely nice and expansive. It's actually ranked number 2 in the United States. And it is a proven fact that it is the cleanest metro in the entire country. There are bus stops everywhere. It is really nice living here in terms of the public transportation. Now, Philly has really good public transportation too. It's ranked number 7. My only con with Philly's public transportation is that it's not as clean, and it may seem a little bit more sketchier, but it really does get the job done. That's why it's top 10 for a reason. But given that you can use your phone on the metro and you have service, and it is really clean in Washington, D.C., I'm gonna have to say D.C. takes the cake in terms of public transportation. Number 5, schools. For all my parents out there, I am not one, but I'm sure you know that D.C. has some of the best public schools in the entire country right in this area. Students in DC graduate at higher rates than students in Philadelphia. And Washington, D.C. public schools is ranked number 2 in the entire country, while Philadelphia falls out of the top 25. I think most people know this already, but Washington, D.C. is going to take the cake in terms of schools and public education. Number 6, things to do. Philly is a very, very fun city. It's very lively. You have really good sports teams there. You have a really certain type of vibe. The drinks are not overpriced. And then on top of that, you're really close to other major metros such as Boston, New York, beaches like Atlantic City or Jersey City, or you can go to the mountains and the Poconos. So it is a really nice place to be sitting. So things to do, you got a lot of it in Philly. But on the other hand, DC is another monster. Look, like I said before, DC is the downtown of the entire DMV. All of the cities that surround in the city limits of Washington, D.C., they all have their own vibe and their own downtown area that no one talks about. Everyone decides to go into D.C. to go party and nightlife because each neighborhood in DC has an entire different vibe with tons of bars and nightlife options. On top of that, DC is known for its free museums. There are a ton of museums. I've been to like 6 or 7. They're really easy to get access to. And on top of that, there are a ton of water activities right here in DC area. If you want to get to the beach, it's only about 2 hours away, and there are a ton of different beach options. Or if you want to get to the mountains, Shenandoah Park is extremely nice and it is pretty close. Look, it's safe to say DC is probably one of the best areas in the country in terms of things to do in entertainment. So with that being said, DC takes the cake. Number 7, food. I would give DC like a B+. I think the food here is good. It could be a little pricey sometimes, but I will say it feels like the business owners here are focused on picturesque type places. They care a lot if it's Instagrammable and very beautiful, which sometimes I do love and I do appreciate. Pizza here is not that great in the DC area, and it doesn't really have a specialty. Philly really does have a specialty. I mean, you have Philly cheesesteak. The pizza is a lot better. Even the mom and pop hole in the wall spots in Philly are really good. I have a feeling that the business owners in Philly, they don't really care about how picturesque the place is going to be. They care if it tastes good. And that's what I care about, because I'm the type of person, I will go eat at a restaurant in Walmart's parking lot if the food is good. I want to taste some good food. So that being said, I think both of the food options are really, really solid, but Philadelphia has better food. Number 8, culture and diversity. So both cities are pretty equal when you look at diversity. They both have extremely large populations in every single racial demographic. But when you look at the culture, I will say it seems like Philly kind of molds the people a certain type of way. It's like I have never met one person that was born in Philly and wasn't a Philadelphia Eagles fan or a Sixers fan. And that's because it's against the law. Like, you can't do that. That's not to say that DC doesn't have its own culture. You have go-go, you have mumbo sauce, you have New Balances. It just feels like a lot of people are migrating to DC from different areas, so the culture here is kind of getting lost in translation. And because of that, I'm gonna say that Philly takes the cake in terms of culture and diversity. So now that you have things mapped out from my perspective, please tell me in the comments below, which city do you think it would be better living in? And please, if you've actually lived in both cities, also tell me which city is better. I'm sure it's the one you're living in now, right? And if you have really appreciated this video, please do me a favor, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button, please and thank you. But that's all I got. I am now signing out. Peace.